Hello and welcome to our weekend debate. The team is back. We thought about this during the week and thought, wow, why not? Because there we were this time last week talking about the elections. We've got quite a bit of agenda here. Certainly I want to start off by going through the results just to get those sort of feelings. And then sky's the limit because it's going to be an important 2 weeks, I know. As
2 or 3 weeks,
yeah. As all the jigsaw puzzle is put together. But let's go. And courtesy of the Jeff site, by the way, great show. We'll come back to that. Arbury Cast Sam Malou. Let's kick off then, because there we go. We got Tim Glover. We get Jason Morehouse. Tim Glover, did he have that advantage of being in the public eye because of the radio? He had a good press conference, it seemed. He was challenging. Did all that help him get in? And obviously the big news that Graham doesn't get in on that one.
Well, I don't think it was perhaps big news about Graham getting in. I think some of us predicting that he might, which was why I was quietly trying to encourage Graham to consider Legco election should a vacancy occur, because he will bring something to Legco, and I hope, if he's listening to this again, that he'll do it.
But the problem is that the public have rejected him at this stage. And this comes up, but it does from the public point of view, doesn't it?
Well, the point of view that you express there is, with respect, isn't absolutely accurate, because Graham has enjoyed, over a number of years, constituency report, and you don't throw that away. What Graham would bring to Legco would be the experience as a politician over all those occasions where he was supported by the electorate. Remember, it's a different job.
Sam?
I don't think there was any surprise in Jason Morehouse winning. I thought that was going to happen. I was slightly surprised at the manner of the size of the defeat for Mr. Crugine. With your Legco point, I get that it's a different job. I just side with Paul on this. There's been a clear decision made by the people of Arbury and Malou, and I think from appearance's point of view, it doesn't look great if the Keys then put him into Legco 6 or 7 weeks later.
Yes, but the election where he was effectively asked to step aside was for Keys. We're talking here about Legco. Legco has a different role.
But to a lot of people, they just see it as Tim Moulton, and that's all that matters.
And that's where we've got, not we, but all concerned and interested, have got to exercise ourselves in helping people to appreciate better the different roles and the balance between the two houses.
And we could be having this debate about the two NLCs, but they both got in, so that's settled. Otherwise, we'd be talking about should they be reconsidering their position, not getting the public mandate. But that hasn't happened. They both got in.
Well, they're different electoral mandates as well, but let's not spend too long on that, because we could talk for some time.
We're just going to go through these at first pace. Aaron Michael, well, obviously, again, a minister going down. Tim, no big surprise from what you hear on the streets, but I kept thinking, was that a Douglas-centric thing I was hearing? Were the people of Aaron Michael worried about Tim Baker and the baggage he may have taken with him?
Well, again, it wasn't a surprise. I think, again, some of us were quietly predicting that might happen. I'm very pleased that Alf's vote has increased and solidified. Very, very important at this particular juncture, very important. Tim, as I've said in the past, Tim took too much on, was trying to do too many jobs, and as a consequence, he ended up being, as it were, too answerable to his CEOs, his chief executives, around the various roles that he had, just at a time that I think the public has this really growing consciousness about, hang on, who's actually running this country? Is it the people we elect, or is it the bureaucracy? And I think the truth is the latter, and I think that's expressed itself to some degree through Tim Baker's vote.
Okay, Sam.
Well, yeah, again, I don't think anybody really saw Alf not getting back in. Was it Tim Johnson was the second?
Tim, yeah.
And that was an interesting one to me, to be honest, because I went to the hustings and didn't think he gave the strongest performance, but it shows the difference between what people may have seen in other debates and also how strong he must have been on the door, because he got in with, there wasn't really much close behind him. They had a bit of distance to third, didn't they?
So he got 12.03, Tim, and obviously Alf got 21.17. There was nothing much after that, was there?
I think you had to drill right into the detail, and you and I haven't been close enough to it. I think you'd have to be in the constituency, because that was at the point people were choosing the personality and the character of the individuals, and I think you have to know them pretty well to get a fix on that. And I didn't know where the second seat was going to go. I think if I share your view, I was quite surprised at Tim's vote compared to the others.
And we'll come back to about chief ministers in another section. Douglas Central, and call it, who's the quietest person I know, doesn't court media, doesn't do much, but boy, is she popular on the doorsteps, I'm guessing, right?
There was a limited choice. I think Damien, who came into the race later than he perhaps should have done, didn't have the opportunity to establish himself. I have a bit of a concern about that election. I haven't drilled deep into it, other than there's a strange relationship where Sarah, who was standing, and I didn't know why she was standing, to be blunt, appeared to be saying that if you don't vote for me, don't vote for Damien, vote for Anne. And I think that was somewhat concerning.
So
I don't know anything about that, to be honest, but I know from talking to the other Paul on Our Life at the minute, Paul Speller, he said right at the start of this election that the two would get back in, and he said they're very popular on the ground, very popular at the school gates, and I thought it would have been very close between Anne Court and Damien Shearplay, but I thought he would have taken that second seat. Obviously, she's held it. And did she win?
No, she came first.
She won. So there's going to be that switch.
It shows how much we know.
I was talking about it on the radio about this being in the back row or the front row. The two of them are switching because Chris Thomas came second. He moves to the back, which is a surprise, isn't it?
The two messages I would gently and courteously send to the two winners would be for Anne to be much stronger on the floor of Tynwald than she has been in this, and Keys in the first 5 years. And I'd ask Chris, as a supporter of his, that he narrows down his focus into much more specific areas and tries not to say so much every time he's asked a question. Be specific and targeted. And I think if they did that, in my humble opinion, and who am I these days now, to advise anybody.
Okay. Douglas East. And we were sitting in the studio when we were hearing that, and the exit polls were pretty spot on, that Claire wasn't actually leading the front, and I was surprised. I think we all were taking back on that one.
Because Claire's done, in my opinion, an excellent job. She was, as I think I said on that programme, she was a better constituency MHK than I was, because I tended to focus on structural issues and broader national issues, on the basis, if I'm being defensive, that it affects every single person who votes. But I was so pleased in the end that one particular exit poll was wrong. And I want to correct myself. I've emailed Beth and apologised that I was winding Beth up a little bit about the exit poll being wrong. But in fact, the youngsters working in that exit poll did an exceptionally good job.
I also wrong on that one, because Josen was showing as third, and with Claire, the two of them, they're exactly the same vote, wasn't it?
Yeah, the difference was significant in the end. Well, it was as significant as it's going to be in Douglas East, which has a poor turnout, regularly. Interestingly, although I am centre right of centre, I would have actually voted for Joni, who's a Labour Party, because she individually, remember, you're not, in my humble opinion, you're not voting for political parties, you're voting for the individual. And I think Joni will show in time that she'll make an excellent MHK.
And there's Joni taking the front row. Claire now moves to the back row.
My seat, yes.
Michael Josen, there's a massive amount of traction on social media, particularly about what he was doing with the funding and all that. Do you think that would damage him, Sam?
I don't know, to be honest. I think there's an element of maybe it could have done. I think switching constituencies so close after Douglas South by-election probably didn't help either. But I think in terms of this, you had two very strong candidates who came forward, and the public responded to them very well. And it was the only surprise I did have, and I've said this, I was speaking very briefly yesterday to Joni Farragon. I said to her then, I thought Claire Barber would have topped the poll there, and she would have come second, but got the reverse of that. But I think they'll have a...
Claire Barber topped the poll,
No, she didn't. She came in second. That's the whole thing.
Oh,
Joni came in. And there's Manx Labour Party, a massive vote, and potentially, obviously, there's two Labour Party in there, isn't there? Am I right?
They're now the biggest party, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that can bring
How many
its
have we
own-
got? Two. Yeah.
their own dynamics to it. And Johnny, I mean, she wrote. What was it? She pretty well.
What did she get then?
She got 741 because in Douglas's terms that's massive. Of course, Claire got 692. So it was fairly close.
It was close.
But it's still an interesting.
I thought it was the other way around. Forgive
Yeah.
me. Of course, it wasn't because of what the exit poll said about her and Michael being close.
Okay, Douglas North. But there we see Ralph Peake losing his job on that one.
Sorry to see Ralph go. I think I've said that repeatedly. I think he was growing in stature, and I wish Ralph nothing but the very best in the future, and thank him for his work in the past, if I'm allowed to say that. But interestingly, Mr. Wannenberg's, John, isn't it? John Wannenberg's pitch seemed to be spot on when he was talking about bigger government and cutting costs, and I think that resonated.
I had an interesting about with him. Sorry, Sam. He didn't want to do his interview particularly. Very not sure about doing it. I got him. I took a lot of persuading. He came in and did it, and he rang me afterwards and said, "Thank you very much indeed. I'm glad I did it," and I'm glad he did it because I don't want MHKs not interacting with the media. But
absolutely,
it's important, Sam.
I think he spoke to something that people want to hear about the government. I think he also, and we had this last time we were here, we said about vision, and he was somebody who looked at it and said that businesses in his sector had been forgotten during COVID and let down, and he wanted to see what the government vision was for how this is going to move forward. And he's somebody who was presenting maybe something different and looking forward. But I thought it was going to be between him and Mr. Peake there for the second seat. I think David Ashford was always going to win that one. But I was maybe surprised at the gap between second and third. But it was.
You say about the winner there, being the health minister. Who would have thought? I wasn't sure. I mean, everyone was marmiting with him because of the way it was being delivered. But wow, as he said himself, 80% of people voted for him. That's pretty big, isn't it?
Tremendous.
Okay. Now Douglas South. Well, Sarah Maltby at 12:44, and Claire Christian at 12:42. That's close. I mean, it's interesting that Claire said I didn't ask for a recount. I'm really thinking, why would you want a recount? I mean, to have the front seat or the back seat is all it's about, isn't it?
I think I heard that there was a possibility of a recount, but again, agreed. Why would you? Very sorry that Paul's no longer there. He was
1095.
He was growing into. In fact, he significantly increased his vote, didn't he?
No, but it was good 200. Wasn't it?
I think that's a loss. I think
Paul got 1095 and Claire in second at 1242.
I think Paul's a loss. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, again, I think it was always going to be a strong case there for Sarah Maltby to take one of the two seats, and it's a shame to see somebody go after 15 months. I think he was somebody who'd grown into it pretty quickly. I mean, I don't know. He could be back in one form or another, but I imagine.
Yeah, isn't it a good example though? He had the airport stuff. I mean, he was really on that because he had the specialist knowledge to deal with
that. Yes, but bear in mind, he had a short time, and he quite rightly focused on those things that he had clear understanding of, and you could see as time was progressing through that short time he was in, that his political mind was growing out into other areas and applying himself with the same diligence that he'd applied to airport matters. So that's why I felt it was a loss.
Garff, we see Mrs. Kane back. She said to me she was a bit worried about what was going on, but she clearly took.
Just remind us of the vote.
Daphne got 1122, so 1,122.
And what did she get last time? Do you know?
I haven't got that figure for you here, but she was on the back row, so Mr. Perkins got the more last time round. And who we got in there?
Andrew Smith.
Andrew Smith at 1112, and then obviously Martin was down at 971.
I'm pleased. I'm pleased Andrew got in. I really am pleased, and he's
third time
lucky, and I think we're fortunate to have him. He'll be a sound voice in both Keys and Tynwald, and
he's got workings inside government, which could be useful because he knows how the machinery does its thing.
Well, he's been building up this moment for a long time, three elections, or whatever it was, and so I'm sure he'll approach it with great energy.
Sam, I mean, I think there was an interest there in Gareth Young, wasn't it? So.
Yeah, I thought he would have been closer. To be honest, I thought he was somebody who resonated quite well at the meeting I went to. Speaking to people in the area, they said he was somebody who come across well, but ultimately it wasn't to be. The biggest surprise to me was Mr. Perkins coming in fourth. I didn't see that one coming, to be honest. I had him as one of the two getting back in. So again, it's showing how much I know. But
well, maybe, who knows? Because we're not close enough to the constituency to truly know. But one could speculate that perhaps the electorate thought that he was a little bit too close to the establishment and too uncritical.
I think the only thing I have heard with Garff particularly was the sewage works, something which kept coming back into play, and I think there was a feeling online on social media, you'd see it regularly, about this, the Laxey Bay Group, who Best for Laxey they're called, and they seem to have been angered by Mr. Perkins in one way or another.
Well, that would fit with,
and I think that's possibly.
But that fits, doesn't it, Sam? Because if it is the case, and strike me down if I'm wrong, but if it was the case that Martin was somewhat comfortable with the proposals as originally laid out, that would be a typical example of him being pro-establishment, and that's where the electors of Garff reacted, I think.
I don't know, was his heart in it? I don't know. Did you feel it? He must have felt it was a bit of an uphill struggle. I don't know.
I think I've made as many comments as I should.
You? Glenfaba and Peel, well, there we go. I mean...
Hooray!
Go on. Sorry. Whoa.
Delighted that Kate got in. Absolutely delighted. And
I thought you were doing away because someone else didn't get in. So let me get this right. It was more of a celebratory way than a disappointment.
Well, yes, you can read it.
That's what I'm trying to...
You can read into that anything you like. I mean, but certainly Kate's campaign was superb. And delighted with the result. Yeah,
but Mr. Boot left the building, as they say, very early. We got this feedback that things weren't showing well for him.
It was a low vote, wasn't it? It was 200 or something.
Yeah, I mean...
273 or something, I can't remember.
It was low, wasn't it? I'm just trying to see it on there. Just keep finding. Push the right button.
There we go.
They were 273. I mean, that was next to... The only one lower was 201, Michael Lees. Is that right?
And it's something of a feather in Tim's cap to get back in. That was quite a thing to go up, to leave the constituencies in MHK, to go into Ledgecombe and then to come back is something of a feat. And
Mr.
Singh's done that in recent times, hasn't he? Going up, down, or whatever.
Yeah, but it's fairly rare. But I mean, and to oust two standing ministers. But I think from the constituency's perspective, I think they've got a much greater opportunity now of having members who will really care hugely about their constituency.
I think we all had a feeling where the first seat was going. The second seat, I thought it was probably going to be between Ray Harmer and Tim Crookall. I thought the Green Party would have had more to say on it. I'm surprised by their vote in one sense in Peel. I thought they would have done
Leo
better.
Cousins?
Yeah, I thought they would have done slightly better in Peel, but no, I think ultimately it'd be interesting now because Tim Crookall's coming in as somebody with ministerial experience, with Ledgecombe experience, with Keys experience, and he could end up being a very senior role in whatever administration we end up with because of that various experience, because he's sort of somebody who you look at that experience, do you want somebody like that on the backbench? And then equally you've got sorry, I was looking ahead to the next one.
Sorry.
You've got Caitlin Brennan coming down from Ledgecombe, who again has got a lot of experience in Timballs, and equally you could end up with Glenfaba and Peel going, I think, could easily see them going back to having two ministers again with these two that have been elected.
We'll see.
Well, middle, which, by the way, on our last interviews, our chit-chats, by far got the more people watching that particular segment. I don't know why, what you said that was so interesting that got them going, or you.
Or both on
but anyway. I mean, again, we've got the MLC situation, so both of them getting clearly, leading from the front. 1788 for Jane Paul Wilson. That's a big win, isn't it, on that one?
And Stu's was 900 and something, was it?
965. 965. It's sort of, they always creeped up there.
The great thing about our system, where it is good, and it has failings, which I think we're going to perhaps talk about later, is that you can get two completely different voices being elected in the same constituency, and that's healthy. And they are very different voices, and both will contribute a significant amount. I genuinely believe that to be the case.
I've had more people ringing me and about Stu Peters probably than anything else so far. That's getting a lot of traction. He's seen as he's going to be different, for better or worse. If he keeps that agenda, what do you think he'll be?
Oh, I'm sure he will.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, the disappointing thing of the last house was that it was very, very, very calm and quiet for 2 years as 12 new members found their feet. It sort of managed to switch on sometime in the third year and become much more a parliamentary debating place.
What's stopping that happening again? People like Stu Peters who
Stu Peters won't. I mean, the two members from Ledgeco won't because they're already experienced. I think we had 10 new members, did we? I can't remember. So that's down to 7, and that 7 new members is pretty typical. I think if you look back historically, I think it's sort of 7 or 8 new members each general election, and it will jump.
Well, we had
up.
10 women, didn't get? Wasn't 10 the end
10,
number? That's just women,
and it will jump up occasionally, as it did in the last election. So you've got 7 new members, 1 or 2 who have got strong political backgrounds and will come in with pretty strong views. So I don't think we'll see a repetition of that. And anyway, goodness me, the next house has got some really serious challenges ahead.
Sam?
I think like you said about the Jane Paul Wilson, obviously was on election night. I got some stick on Twitter for picking her as my ideal chief minister. So apparently she's the establishment candidate, but there we go. And yes, Stu Peters, I have had people message me about it. I've seen it on social media. And there's this weird thing of people going, well, who elected him? I'm like, well, the people of the middle have elected him.
Well, I was one of the ones who voted for him.
You said last time we were here.
Yeah, but he is getting, I mean, this is going to be very Marmite.
Well, what's good, Paul? What's wrong with that?
I'm not saying. I'm just saying there's reaction.
The more energised debate we have around our politics, surely the better, rather than.
Well, I'm looking forward to interviewing him. I bet he'll be up all the time. I hope he will be up all the time to talk about his policies and his views.
Also, even the thing that I'm sort of hoping happens here, even if people don't agree with him, I think he's someone who will draw other people into the fire and draw them into the debate.
Which Jeff didn't start the fire, though, did he?
Oh, great video. So good. But,
brilliant, by the way.
You know, Stu Peters wanted to be a shock jock in America. That was his ideal thing. Will he be the shock parliamentarian?
No, I think he'll modify himself in an appropriate, mature way, but it will not stop him, I believe, speaking his mind, and we need more people to speak their mind and to say things that need saying.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, and we'll be doing our yearly interviews with him, so obviously. Onken, steady as she goes.
Expected, no surprise. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I said on the radio show, they don't get on. Everyone knows that. I mean, it's not a secret.
Oh, no. But hang on. Whoa.
Oh, okay.
At first, they didn't. That's going back at the beginning. They were both new MHKs, perhaps somewhat uncertain. Progressively, they got more experience and started to put aside this personality clash thing, because the longer you're in Tynwald and Keys, the more you and Tony Brown and I were discussing this, weren't we, the other night?
Two grumpy men at the old men down the end there. Yes,
absolutely. Remain grumpy, and I was winding Tony up a little bit. I was trying my best.
I think he was doing his best back as well.
I think he didn't respond really, which was disappointing, and he knew what he was doing. But in politics, particularly Manx politics, which it's a question of in 1 minute you have a compatriot on one particular political issue, and the next minute you're completely against them, and you get used to this. It's not personal, and I think increasingly Julie and Rob have started to migrate into that appropriate mindset. So I think that's last house's story, really.
So
I hope so.
Yeah, but you're saying very clearly it doesn't matter anyway if you get on or not. It doesn't matter. Two people with polarising views, it doesn't matter.
It does matter.
It does matter.
No, polarising views is a different thing to clashes.
True.
Personal
I take that, yeah. So what is okay, what isn't okay?
Personal clashes don't help, because at some stage or other you're going to have to work with people with quite opposite views in many areas on something you both agree, and that's the nature of our particular house parliamentary structure.
Okay, Sam.
Onken was, I think,
Still where is it?
It was, yeah. I think we didn't have. There wasn't a standout opponent in Onken, realistically. I think James Cherry brought a very different style to the campaign. His was certainly one of the more entertaining across the island, with the John Burko video. There was the things he did with, getting James Cherry photoshopped onto a picture of the Ben McCree and that sort of stuff, which was all very funny and amusing.
It's very Jeff, isn't it? In that sense, trying to get down more with the younger voters. Would that be sort of
down with the youth? Is this what you're trying to say?
I didn't want to. As I said, I knew it was coming out all horribly.
So I think it was steady as go, and I think they've been given another 5 years, and let's see where we go from here. It was, in all honesty, I think it was the worst election I've seen in Onken.
Oh.
We normally have a lot of characters standing in Onken. We have had a bit of reputation as a constituency, which does return interesting people who have gone in one way or another to upset others. Famously, we had Peter Cameron for a very long time. And I just think that it was a very dull election in Onken, really, for me. I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't really see much excitement in it compared to other areas.
Still, there's controversy about half of Onken is in Garff and all that goes on.
Apparently, there's going to be a boundary review coming up.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. What happens? I'd like to see the breakdown and turnout when we get it for Garth in terms of that Housedrake estate, because that'll be interesting to see how engaged people are.
Disenfranchised as they see themselves.
Well, there does seem to be that. I mean, of course, if you were living in Garth and if you lived in Housedrake and therefore in Garth, you had to go into the Onken constituency to vote. Yes. And that's just a bizarre situation.
Can't make that up. It really does sound odd. Okay, Ramsey, I mean, just looking at it in your graph format, it's clearly just the two of them are going to go back in. It's a question of who was going to go in. And another, of course...
are we staying with Ramsey? Yeah.
Now, Ramsey. Laurie is going to the front row and... Dr. Allison goes to the back seat.
Massive 1,400 vote loss for Alex there.
Yeah, it was.
Well, go on. Yes,
it was not. I don't want to say the word collapse because he's still there, of course, but it was a massive drop in that. I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint why that's happened. It could be a government thing. It could be the difference in terms of situations with Ramsey residents, or difference in terms of school turnout. I know the last time Ramsey had a big turnout amongst
there's something going on in Ramsey. There must have been something, because
Marina, isn't it? For their
no, yes and no. There was something else. When we were a number of months out before the number of candidates standing who ultimately stood declared, I almost felt so sure that Alex and Laurie would get in, that people perhaps would feel it was a waste of their energy and time standing against them. And the flourish, the rush of candidates following Leonard's declaration was a real surprise to me, and left me with the thought, what is it that's going on in the mind of the people of Ramsey that has them sufficiently uncertain to find people encouraged enough to step up to the plate?
So those two were heads and tails above anyone. I mean,
no, but the cumulative total of if you end up with too many challenges, you know where it goes.
Yeah, sure. But anyway, we'll talk about achievements and that sort of thing next. Finish with Rushen. June romped it. I was still not sure how people would take it that he wanted to actually be the president. Therefore, was he interested in being the MHK? But that obviously clearly didn't.
Well, you remember me saying I didn't think it would affect their vote. I think that they understood what went on, and that June would get re-elected, as he did. I think slightly increased, did you say?
Well, he's not just got re-elected, he's... I know it's a bit strange to compare the island-wide poll, but he's got more votes than anybody else on Thursday night in any constituency.
And then Dr. Michelle Hayward at 1386.
I don't know Michelle.
No.
I think she's a good candidate, and I think I said last time, this could have gone any way for. It's gone to Dr. Hayward, and I think she'll bring something very different to Keys, and she'll bring a voice of. She's worked in, she was in local government, she chaired commissioners. Very strong on environmental issues that she's worked in, and a variety of other areas as well. So she's somebody who will bring, again, a different voice to Tynwald, that will look at things in a different perspective, and that's always good to see. And
that what you say there, Sam, reinforces this view that we were discussing, this issue we were discussing earlier about would the new house kick off in a vibrant way, and from that I would assume that she's another member who would start from the very first day and express herself. But the other thing you could say about Rushen is, all four candidates enjoyed a really substantive support and showed a I would argue, therefore, a quality of candidature that might have been missing elsewhere from time to time.
And just to wrap this up, I mean, characters, the ones that stood out as being different.
Oh, well,
no
paces. I mean,
well, yeah, nearest we got to it, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
But there's always normally, a little more maybe to liven the things up. I don't know.
I think we've covered that in the sense that one would expect a stronger house this time to grip things or at least debate them in a more confident way from an earlier date.
Well, there you go. That's our rundown on week later, isn't it? A week is a long time in politics, as they say. That's how it's viewed. We've got more to come in our weekend debate.